Good afternoon, everybody, again. And in this session, we are going to talk about the characters, plot summary, and the narrative strategy used by Kazuo Ishiguro in the novel, uh, an artist of the floating world. Okay? So first, characters. Characters, let us see, there are many characters in this novel, and but they have Japanese names, so a little bit difficult also, very difficult to remember the names, and also maybe you may face some problem with the spellings also. So you have to be a little bit extra careful in dealing with the spellings of these Japanese characters. Okay, so first of all, the character that is at the center here is Masujo Ono. This is our protagonist. Yes, he is our protagonist. This character is also our narrator. Is our narrator also, and this protagonist and narrator is our titular artist. Yes, the title, an artist of the floating world. So Masujo Ono, the artist, titular artist, the protagonist, the narrator also. So simultaneously, when we look at the narrative strategy also, we find that this is first person narration, and our main protagonist is telling us the story, is the narrator, which obviously makes him also unreliable narrator. A characteristics of the post-modernist narrative strategies, where we are told a story through the eyes of some characters, but we are constantly in doubt whether to what extent to rely on the narration or the story which is told to us. Is it reliable or not? That question always lingers over us when we refer to such a narrative strategy, unreliable narrator. So he will keep on telling us something, and then we may feel that he is hiding something. This narrator is trying to hide something from us. In the initial part of the novel, the beauty of the novel is narrative strategy. If this writer is appreciated and it was listed for Booker Prize and people talk about this novel and this writer, it is not the story that is very important. It is how the story is told to us. How the story is told, that is very important. So in the initial part, when the narration begins, we are told that he is purchasing, he has purchased a huge house, huge, very costly house. He has purchased from Akira Sugimura. Akira Sugimura, he has purchased the house. And he tells us that, well, the house was very costly, but the family members of now dead Akira Sugimura, they decided that they will give this house to the one who is the most desirable person, the one who is good. So as if you are going for a matchmaking for a marriage, and then you investigate the person, and then if you find appropriate, then only you do matchmaking. You do lots of investigation. In Japanese tradition, as this novel tells us, the family members even hire spies. Jasus પણ લોકો રોકે, અને પછી જાસૂસ ને કહે કે આ લોકોનું ફેમિલી કેવું છે, એમના વિશે અમને માહિતી આપો, પછી એ સગાઈ લગ્ન થાય. અને જાસૂસનો રિપોર્ટ નેગેટિવ આવે તો એ સગાઈ ફોક પણ થઈ જાય. That is what happens in this narrative also. Masuji Ono ની એક દીકરીના ની સગાઈ થવામાં હતી પણ એ તૂટી જાય છે. And then the role of the spies plays a vital role. So when he tells that because this family member they were happy with my impression, that is Masuji Ono's impression, his reputation in society as an artist, so they have offered a huge house, a kind of a haveli, almost free of cost, almost at a negligible cost that is given. So initially, when we read this narrative, we find that, well, this must be a great artist, highly respected in his country. He must be great. But then later on, we come to know, no, people are regretting his painting. People are not happy with his painting. So that is how this unreliable narrator starts unfolding the things there. Let me share a part of the novel to understand this narrative strategy. Let me share the original text and refer to two references, one or two references in this. Okay, in this original narrative, if we see, for example, I am looking for a couple of words like digression. I am looking for the word digression in this PDF text, and then I come here, but I am digressing. This reference, this strategy in the narration that is utilized here. So he's telling us something, and then he is hiding something. Then he is hiding something from us and start telling something else which seems to be useless. And then he himself tells us that કે તમને એમ લાગતું હશે કે હું ડાયગ્રેશન કરું છું, હું મૂળ વાત ઉપર આવતો નથી. એ જે સ્ટ્રેટેજી છે કે નેરેટર આપણને વાત કરતા કરતા પછી કંઈક ડાયગ્રેશનમાં લઈ જાય અને પછી પાછા એ જ આપણને કહે, નેરેટર જ કહે કે હું તમને ડાયગ્રેસ કરું, હું મૂળ વાત તમને કહેતો નથી. એટલે એ જે મેઇન વાત છે જે શરમજનક બની ગઈ છે, રિગ્રેટફુલ છે, એનાથી નેરેટર બચવાનો પ્રયાસ કરે છે. એ વિચાર કરે છે આને સારામાં સારી રીતે હું કેમ કહી શકું, બને એટલી સારામાં સારી રીતે હું આ વાત કેમ કહી શકું, એ પ્રયત્નમાં એ સતત રહેતો હોય છે. And till the end of the narrative, till the last chapters of the narrative, we are not able to capture what is this that he is trying to hide. What is the problem with this artist? Why we are kept into a kind of darkness always? That is what is the strategy that is utilized here. So I was trying to recall here details of Setsuko's stay. Setsuko is daughter, married daughter. Setsuko stay with us last month. As I may have said, Setsuko spent much of the first day of her visit sitting out on the veranda talking with her sister. So I was telling this. Now Setsuko is a character, the daughter, which perhaps knows this, that because of your reputation, like telling to father, because of your reputation now we have to suffer in our in-laws also. Because of your reputation our sister is not able to marry also. તમારા લીધે પિતા કોઈ એક આર્ટિસ્ટ હોય, પિતાજી હોય, એને કોઈ દીકરીને પાસેથી આવું સાંભળવું પડે કે તમારે લીધે, તમારી આબરૂને લીધે અમારા ધજાગરા થાય છે, તમારી આબરૂને લીધે આપણી બહેનના લગ્ન થતા નથી. તો એ આર્ટિસ્ટ માટે કેવું લાગે, જે આર્ટ માટે એ એકદમ ગર્વિત હતો, જે આર્ટ માટે એકદમ ગર્વિત હતો, એને પ્રાઉડ હતો કે I am serving nation through my artist. એના માટે એમના ફેમિલી, એમની દીકરીઓ, એમના જમાઈ જો એ આવું મંતવ્ય રાખતા હોય તો એ કઈ રીતે કહી શકે, એ આપણને કેમ કહે. So this is Ishiguro's very interesting strategy. Ishiguro એ કોશિશ કરી હોય તો થર્ડ પર્સન થી બધું કહીને પહેલેથી જ આપણી સામે વાત પ્રગટ કરી શક્યા હોય, પણ નહીં, એના કરતા હા કે એ વ્યક્તિ પોતે આ પ્રકારના એક ઇમોશન્સ કે આવી એન્ઝાઇટીમાંથી પસાર થતા હોય અને પછી એમને કેવી બેચેનીઓ થતી હોય, કઈ રીતે એ વાત પહોંચી જ ન શકતા હોય, એ વાત એના માટે કહેવી બહુ અઘરી પડે, એનાથી એ છટકતા રહે, ડાયગ્રેશન સતત એ લેતા રહે. That is the beauty of narrative strategy. There is another word again, because he keeps on repeating this again and then. There is this word, if we search, drift, drift, and then he uses this word drift, and then he says here that I see I am drifting. I see I am drifting. Means I'm not coming to the point. I am drifting here and there and trying to avoid to tell you something that is very important. My intention had been to record here the conversation I had with Setsuko last month when she came into the reception room to change the flowers. As I recall it, this. So that is that point where Setsuko might have said something which was very hurtful to father, telling that because of your reputation, our sister's marriage, even her own husband also looks in a different way. But this point we are not able to identify till we complete the narrative. That is a very interesting narrative strategy which is utilized here. Okay? So Masuji Ono is our central character, protagonist, narrator, unreliable narrator because of this way of telling us about his memory, and he's our titular artist also. Masuji Ono has two daughters, Norika and Setsuko. Yes, two daughters, Norika and Setsuko. Yeah. And we can see here that Setsuko is married. Setsuko is married to Suichi, Setsuko, and they have a son, Ichiro. Is their son. Yes, Setsuko married to Suichi, and they have a son, Ichiro. Ichiro is a new generation now, third generation to Masuji Ono. If Masuji Ono was highly nationalist, then Ichiro is a kind of Americanized new era kid, Ichiro. Americanized new era kid who is much interested in cowboys, American Hollywood films, cowboys, and cartoons, American cartoons. He is much interested in American cartoons, cowboy films, and he is also interested in Godzilla film, Godzilla superhero film. So if you see that how this Americanization is being reflected here, then we can say Americanization is Hollywood. The entertainment industry of Hollywood, the cinema, the cartoons, they are capturing the young minds all over the world, which obviously is a very interesting to see that how through entertainment industry also one country or one culture can start having their control over the future generations of the entire world, So in that context, Ichiro, and he is being Americanized through cartoons, Hollywood films, and this Godzilla kind of films becomes very interesting also. Norika is another daughter, and Masuji's wife. His wife is Michika. I think Michiko. I perhaps might make some spelling error, so just also check with some text or study material also in case that there is some. I will try to see that I don't make a mistake, but as we know, Japanese names we are not familiar with the Japanese names. Okay, Michiko is wife, yeah, who is now dead. When the narrative, when we are in the narrative, she is dead, and
their son, Michiko, Masuji, and their son is Kenji. It's Kenji, who joined the military and who also is now dead. Who also is now dead. So Masuji has a burden, as such, a burden that his viewpoints about nationalism, imperialism, warmongering, celebrating war, has taken the life of his own son also, his own son. So obviously sisters may have a very deep concern about this. They may, but even somebody says that, well, Masuji Ono, you are a great painter, but the daughters perhaps will remember what happened to their brother Kenji, or Michiko, the wife who died during the Second World War. Okay, so this is this character, and when the story begins, we come to know that Norika was supposed to marry Jiro Miyake. Jiro Miyake. Supposed to engage with Jiro Miyake, but this engagement has failed. This engagement has failed with Jiro Miyake, and that is the concern. That is a kind of a strained relation between Setsuko and Masuji, father and daughter, is this. So whenever they talk, it is this, Norika, marriage. And Jiro was working in a company, where whose president committed suicide. President committed suicide. So that we have also referred that he committed suicide. Couple of suicides that we see in this novel, they are all concerned with the idea that all this nationalist people and who destroyed Japan, or the warmongering had played a vital role in that. So that is Jiro Miyake's reference here. Then in the story, the story moves in such a way that they are looking for Norika's marriage, and this time there is Saito family. They have this Saito family who is interested in the marriage. In this family, Saito family, Taro Saito is the young fellow with whom Norika, the talks are going, the matchmaking talks are going between Norika and Taro, who is belonging to the Saito family. Father of Taro is known as Dr. Saito. Dr. Saito. He is a professor in a university, and he is a critic of art, teaching art and other thing. So Setsuko is worried that Dr. Saito must be well aware about the paintings of Masujo Ono. He must be well aware. The problem aspect of the paintings of Masujo Ono as a nationalist painter who inspired young people to go for war, and then how now people in post-war Japan are looking at all those nationalist, imperialist, warmonger, that must be very clear to Dr. Saito. So Setsuko was worried that when the spies will be hired by Saito family, I think the wife of Dr. Saito is Mituso. Mituso is the father, Taro's mother. So
so what is the conflict in this part and the initial part of the narrative? The conflict is this, that Setsuko is worried, daughter is worried that if the spies of Saito family will meet some of the old acquaintance of Masujo, they will reveal that what Masujo has done, what terrible things he has done through painting and then in support of government of the day also. And because of that, again, second time, Norika's matchmaking may fail, even with Taro also. So that was the worry. So Setsuko daughter told to father that you go and meet your old acquaintance and tell them that some spies may come and visit them, and they should not reveal that they what kind of person Masujo was as a painter, as an artist, and as a political agent or the agent of the government. What he has done, that should not be revealed by them. So that is what Setsuko tells. And now see, this is not told to us. Masujo is not, he tells us that I was great painter, I was loved, my paintings were appreciated, and I used my art in the service of nation. That is what we are told. See the unreliable narrator here, and this very complex relation with daughter Setsuko, who is worried about the marriage of sister Norika, and then this happens there. Now see the interesting use of marriage being done here by Kazuo Ishiguro. That, well, you may be artist, you may be doing the thing, but you are a family man also. You are a family man, and you as an artist, you are free to do. You can take side of government, or you can be anti-government, or you can be pro-war or anti-war. But then your family also might have to suffer because of you, because of whatever things you are doing. This that is how the complex situation is created in this novel. Okay.
Let us move on to see the other characters, other set of characters here. Okay. From this family affairs, we come to see Masuji Ono as an artist. If we try to see him, Masuji Ono as an artist, then first we can put here his teacher, from where he learned Ukiyo-e, that is being the artist of the floating world. That Ukiyo-e is what he is learning. This and that teacher is Seiji Muriyama. Seiji Muriyama, known as Mori-san in the novel, Mori-san. Yes, and is a very rich painter, and he is selecting talented people, and he gives training to a few group of 5, 10, 15 talented painters only in his own home. He has a separate home in the woods, in the mountains, and there he would allow the people, the students, to stay with him and learn from him. And Masuji Ono becomes his student. So that is Seiji, and he is the master of floating world. He is not a nationalist painter. Even when he came to know that Masuji Ono is now changing and moving towards this world of nationalism and want to use,
and when he wanted to use this painting for nationalistic interest, he became very angry also. He didn't like it. He didn't like this change that was coming in Masujo Ono, Ukiyo-e. He was supposed to make the painting for Ukiyo-e. But Seiji Muriyama, he said that now I can't train you. If you want to use art for political purpose or for imperialist purpose, then he was not ready for this.
Well, in the same line, we see that Masuji Ono is also a teacher of art. Our protagonist artist, Masuji Ono, is also later on, in his middle-aged, teacher of art. He is now training artists, and his favorite students are like students, Kuroda and Shintaro. These are some of his favorite students. In that, Kuroda is the most favorite student. Kuroda is the most favorite student. He always thought that this Kuroda is going to make a big name as an artist. So he was trained the way he was trained under Seiji Muriyama. Masuji Ono is now training other students, and Kuroda was his one of the very bright student. Shintaro was a rather dull student, rather dull. He was not very bright, but still he remains with him even in his old age. There, Shintaro, there, Kurado, and these are the students there. This character, that is Kuroda is a very important character in this, and there is a kind of a secrecy around this character, Kuroda. There is a kind of a secret around this character. This.
In the narrative, when he is, see what is now Masujo Ono is doing is that he has to meet the old acquaintances and to tell them that his daughter Norika is going to marry, and the talks are going on with the Saito family, and some spies may come and inquire about himself. So he wanted to tell all the acquaintances that you give positive response, positive remark about me. Now see, when there is somebody who is searching old acquaintances and is requesting them for a positive remark, obviously there might be something terrible about that which is not told to us, which is that unreliable narrative. It is not told to us that what is this problem that he has to do such a kind of a thing. A good artist, trained under a very good painter. He himself is a teacher of painting. He taught to many things, and then to one of his very bright students, he has to go and meet and to tell him that, well, you should give a positive remark about me because my daughters may. Now imagine a situation where a teacher wants to visit a student and request him to give a positive remark. So there must be something terribly wrong in that relation. Somehow the relations might have fall out in such a way that perhaps they are not able to make two ends meet in a favorable way. In between the story, we find that at some occasion when he is suddenly meeting, seeing Kuroda somewhere, but Kuroda is changing his face, not talking to Masujo Ono, and moves on in another direction. Then we sense something that what is wrong? Why this way he is behaving this? And then when he goes to meet this character,
Kuroda is one student in his apartment. Where he stays, Kuroda was absent, but there was this fellow Enchi. Enchi was present there. Enchi was his protege. So we can say Kuroda is working as now is working as a teacher. Kuroda now is working as a teacher of painter, and Enchi is now his student. Now you can see a very interesting hierarchy of teachers. Seiji Muriyama, student Masujo Ono, student Kuroda, Kuroda's student Enchi. And Masujo Ono has some conversation with Enchi. They have some, they say that wait for some time, Kuroda may come, but Kuroda is not coming. They have a talk, and then Enchi is asking, who are you? And when he says, I am Masujo Ono, your teacher's teacher. And then Enchi becomes very angry.
And then we realize that, well, it means Masujo Ono has done some really terrible thing, that even Kurodo's students are unhappy with Kurodo's once upon a time a teacher, Masujo Ono. So what was that? What was that? Which comes in the last part of the narrative. That is that Masujo Ono not only used painting for the nationalist purpose and for the sake of imperialism and government, but he also became the agent of government. He was working in a government institute, and when he found anybody talking against government or imperialism or nationalism, he was reporting to government. He was reporting. If you remember now the character of O'Brien from 1984, then who was the agent of Big Brother, in a similar way, Masujo Ono was also working as an agent of government. And it was he who reported that Kurodo is thinking in this way. This is anti-imperialist thinking. His anti-national thinking of Kurodo was reported by Masujo Ono. Masujo Ono tells us that, well, I thought that he will not be punished. I just told them that keep a watch on Kurodo. Keep a watch. I have not told that he is a bad person. But then the police raided Kurodo's home, and he was captured. Very brutal treatment was given to Kurodo. He was treated in a very bad manner by the police forces, and the family members of Kurodo, friends, students, everybody blamed Masujo Ono for the fall of such a bright student. Kurodo was such a bright student, his fall. Now, who is responsible? Masujo Ono. And then we come to that Masujo Ono, by working as an agent of government, might have spoiled lives of so many people. Might have spoiled. Now, see, that is the regret. That is the dog on the character of Masujo Ono. And so now, with the changed time, with the changed world, in the post-war time, now people are not happy with Masujo Ono, not only as a painter, but also as an agent of government, as an agent who reported to government about any of the anti-national activities that were going on there.
And in this, if there was anybody who supported Masujo Ono, or anybody who took him into this direction, then that character is, let me just get the spelling. Yeah, Chisu. That character is Chisu Matsuda. Chisu Matsuda. This character. It was he was a nationalist. Yeah, a nationalist. Art appreciator, nationalist, imperialist, art appreciator, Chisu Matsuda. It was his company, it was he, Chisu Matsuda, who told Masujo to use art for national purpose, for government, for imperialism, for nationalism, Chisu Matsuda. And in the novel, we find he is couple of times meeting Matsuda, even in the old age also, and obviously they both think, they think that, well, what we did was fair in our time, though now it is not considered good, but still, well, fine. Chizu Matsuda is on his last days, and then he dies also. In the novel, Chizu Matsuda dies a natural death out of illness. But it was this character who led Masujo Ono from Ukiyo-e, that is painting the floating world, fleeting world, transient world, pleasure-seeking people, pleasure districts. Instead of those paintings, under Seiji Murayama, Masujo Ono drifted towards nationalism, imperialism, and using art for the government, pro-government, and which makes him even the agent of government. It is Chisu Matsuda who did this. That is this character here. If any other important character is missing out, yeah, one. There is one episode that he remembers from his memory, and that is his working for one firm, and this is Takeda Firm. Takeda from one small company, yeah, and there was Master Takeda, the owner of this firm, Master Takeda, and is working for Takeda Firm, and here, what is the importance of this Takeda Firm, where Masujo is working in his younger days, was that this firm was doing business of art, yeah. So those people who are interested in Japanese painting, traditional art, the Takeda Firm will take order from them, and
it will take order from them, and then will hire the young painters and then tell them to draw the painting as fast as possible, as quickly as possible, because there are pending orders, and all these paintings are to be exported, there. And so Masuji Ono and his friend, who is known as Tortoise. Why Tortoise? Because he was a slow painter, Yasumari Nakahara.
His friend working here with him is Yasumari Nakahara, who is known as Tortoise. It's a very slow person, very slow, because in Takeda Firm, the painting
is all for business purpose. You have to on, and so very quick painting, and you sell it out. Yeah. So now see, here we get three dimensions of looking at art. Three dimensions we are looking here. One dimension is Ukiyo-e, one dimension, and in that you are just drawing. You are drawing art for the sake of art. Art for the sake of art. Ukiyo-e, pleasure-seeking people. Art is all for the pleasure, and so you are in the leisure time. You just paint about people who are enjoying life. Ukiyo-e, one. It may be samurais also. It can be the dancers, beautiful women, and all those life, beautiful life, lanterns, nature, nature painting. That all become a part of Ukiyo-e. Art for the sake of art. Art for our own pleasure. Art for aesthetic delight. That is one aspect. Second aspect is art for business purpose. You paint, you sell. And if you do it fast painting, you earn fast. So people want a kind of a painting, you just keep on as a machine. Artist is working as a machine, and he is just drawing the paintings and selling the painting. So what is money mindedness? Money minded is a capitalist idea. We see there that art for business purpose, art for capitalist purpose, and art is utilized only to earn money. Takeda Firm is doing that work there. And third is art for nation, art for nationalism, art for government, being pro-government, pro-war, pro-national interest in terms. Even if the people in the power, the government is doing wrong thing, then also you think that government is nation and nation is government, and you serve the interest of your country. That also is that aspect here. So in that way, the art can be seen in this three angle, in this narrative.
If I have to just see that in a different way, then we can see here that art, the dynamics of the art that we see in this narrative, yes, for the sake of aesthetic delight. Yes, one. Second, business. Art as business. This, and third is national or government or monarch, imperial power. Art used for imperial power, for national interests. So this way we see that how art is visualized by the writer Ishiguro, that what are the dynamics of the art that can be seen in an interesting way in all these capacities also. For a while, there is one fourth dynamics also that comes in the narrative, fourth dynamics also, and that is using art for poor people, using art for poor people. So it is Matsuda who takes our hero Ono to a poor people, and when he looks at the poor people's condition, plight, he paints poor people. Now see this aesthetic delight, this Ukiyo-e was about pleasure seeking people, pleasure seeking people. This, from there, the opposite is people in plight, people in poor condition. Totally opposite of this. We find from pleasure seeking people to the poor people and this. Now from here he changed to this. From here, talking about the poor, he started looking at the national. Now see, we have if you this change from poor people, economically poor people, to national
interest. When you see, you remember that in 1984 when we were talking about totalitarianism and fascist governments, at the time there was this, that point was that how to identify a fascist government, and one point was that when you see that people are talking about economically deprived people, poor people, and they talk about that for national interest, not for the improvement of the conditions of the poor, but to talk about those people so you can amass those people for national interest. When that is happening, it is fascist kind of a government. That is exactly what Chisu Matsuda did with Masuji Ono in this novel. He did this. First, poor people, and he was driven that, oh, rich people there, I'm just painting rich people, and this is the condition of poor people in my country. He's drifted towards the poor people. He painted a beautiful picture of poor children, and then converted that into army jawans, and that converted that picture into army jawans also. So that is something very interesting to be seen here. Just a minute, I just got disconnected. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So this four dynamics, four dimensions of art. We see art for the sake of art first, business, Takeda Firm, this talking about poor people. So this plight of poor, another thing. There is the slight of Marxism, another thing coming, and from there it moves into a more dangerous realm of using art for nationalistic purpose, or for big brother, for government, for monarchs, imperial power, and this also. So that is very interesting to see how Kazuo Ishiguro is using this very interesting theme through the character of Masuji Ono. Yeah. So these are the characters and the storyline with the kind of a narrative that it is moving on. As we have seen earlier, that couple of characters who commit suicide in this, because these characters were nationalists. They were working for using the art for national interest, and one of the singer was Akira, not Akira Sugimura. He was the one, not this one. And just let me get to this. Yeah, Yuki Naguchi. Yeah, Ukiyo Naguchi. These names are very difficult to remember. Ukiyo Naguchi. He was a famous composer of patriotic songs. Composer of famous patriotic songs during the war, and he was also one of the many prestigious men who committed suicide as an act of atonement for his role in encouraging Japan to persist in its war effort. So these people who encouraged Japan to go for war, to be nationalists, to be agent of governments, Hirohito, who was the imperial ruler, they committed suicide. And so we were a bit worried that will our protagonist do that or not? But well, our protagonist is not doing that. Yeah. So this is the characters. There is Masuji Ono's father also. There is one scene with his father also, where when father found that
Masujo Ono is painting, he was not happy. He became very angry and he burnt all his paintings. He burnt all his painting. And there is one reference to a kind of a prophecy that was given when he was born, that this boy will bring disgrace to family. This boy will bring disgrace to family. Mother, obviously the mother have more attachment towards the son. So the mother was mother's name I am trying to find. Mother's what is the name of yeah, mother is Sachiko.
Yeah, okay. Father and mother is Sachiko. Yeah, Sachiko, mother. Okay, yeah, Sachiko.
So the backstory of Masujo Ono, that when he was a child, at a very young age, his paintings were burned by his father, and he remembered, and he told to father told to the mother that this boy, if you will not take care of, then he will bring disgrace to our family. That was the prophecy. And he really brought a disgrace, to family. Daughter was much worried about that. He also brought disgrace to Japan also, the Second World War and Japan. And anybody who supported such an imperialist, militarist Japan, they all regret for that. And so when those bombs are dropped, people blame Japanese tendency more than the American also. America afterwards worked a lot to serve the nation, and then later on, everything became Americanized, westernized in Japan after Second World War, and America supported a lot in the development of Japan also. The novel ends. The novel ends with a last part where the old fellow Masujo Ono is moving on in the streets of the town where he's living, and he finds very young people, suited, booted, tie, and they're working in private companies. They're working in private American companies. The last lines of this narrative, something like this. We end with reading the last lines of this narrative. So last lines, our nation, it seems, whatever mistakes it may have made in the past, our nation, it seems, whatever mistakes it may have made in the past, has now another chance to make a better go of things. Is now another chance to make a better go of things. One can only wish these young people well. New generation, the old person says one can only wish these young people well. This is that optimism, subtle optimism, which we have seen, that though we see a story of regret, but then there is subtle optimism that our nation, it seems, whatever mistakes he is agreeing that he made a mistake by using art for nationalistic purpose or becoming an agent of government, being pro-government. Whatever mistakes it may have made in the past is now another chance to make a better go of things. One can only wish these young people well. Yeah? So that is our study of character and the plot line, plot stuff summary also. Narrative strategy being used by the by the writer and our narrator unreliable narrator also. That any questions, anybody here in this? Yes, anybody, any questions in the chat also, if you have put any observations or questions? Father's name is not given, is known as Ono's father only. Yeah? Bhumika is asking this question and is just referred as father, Ono's father. His father's name is not given. At least I was not able to find the thing. In case if you find, then just share with me also. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody? I hope the character is very clear in your mind. Relations of all the characters. Main plot line. The plot is all about Norika's marriage. Yeah. Norika's marriage. Matchmaking is going on, and that leads to revisiting the memory. That leads to revisiting of a memory in the in the mind of father Masuji Ono, who was once upon a time a painter. Yeah. Yes. Anybody? Any question? Okay, fine. Then we end our session here. Okay.